There is an enormous amount of paperwork that goes along with choosing a new father. The government needs a record of all the changes that take place. Most of this was time-consuming, but took little thought. After all, it was rudimentary government paperwork, except for the section concerning my new name. Everyone assumed that I would change my last name to Scanlon. At least my mother's reasoning was, why would you still want to associate with such a horrible man? But when I think of my name, I don't think of him. I think of me and who I am. I needed something to cling to. I needed to be sure that despite it all, I was still me. I write because I think it's always been it's like the language I defer or default back to. I feel like when I really want to clearly state what I'm thinking and feeling, I have to write it down. It's just kind of how I'm wired. I think I'm wired to write. So my name is Kayleen. I grew up in Auburn, New York, and that's not too far from here. I lived there for my whole life, and well, up until I went to college, I guess, when most people move. But I lived in an old house it was like a big old mansion kind of house, split up into a bunch of apartments, and that was kind of fun. And it was just me and my mom growing up there. And I also started gymnastics when I was really young. I started when I was 2. Because I guess I was a very wild, crazy, energetic child. So my mom needed to kind of like get me off her hands, and so she put me into gymnastics. I got really good at it really fast, and that was kind of that. I stuck with it my whole life. I had a natural knack for it. I was really little and very flexible and very strong and very bouncy. So basically, that's kind of a good combination for that sport. I did gymnastics up until I think I stopped right before my senior year in high school was when I stopped because I just wasn't eating enough. I have a couple of memories that are really vivid. My dad's name is Tim Wilkinson. We would have fun. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to hang out with him. And when he showed up and when he wasn't angry, he was really fun and I really loved him. You know, just not having a dad that you can rely on like that is hard. And wondering, are they going to be there? I think if you're ever in that position as a kid, that makes you grow up a certain level. It's interesting. I see everything that I went through. I I feel like as the years go on, I can more concisely define what happened and explain why everything happened. I wonder about the way they go about diagnosing it, because it's so specific when they, their criteria for what it is and why it started is really, really like very limited, kind of a media biased sort of diagnosis. Oh, you must think you're fat, you must think you're ugly, you must think all these things. And I was like, no, but I still weigh 80 pounds. I'm still 2% body fat. I think that I did that. I put myself in a position to demand everyone's attention. I have something wrong with me, and it was like a threat. I was very unhealthy, and I could have dropped dead at any moment, and I think I kind of knew that, and I knew that I had people on the tips of their toes. I weighed myself constantly. It was a routine practice that became a mindless compulsion. I had learned one of the nuances of my bathroom scale is that the little red dial will bob above and below the number that is your actual weight before settling still. One day I lifted myself onto the scale and stared down, waiting for the red hand to stop. It barely made it past 80. I was startled and jumped off. It was more than 5 pounds lower than the day before. I never saw myself as any smaller than anyone else on the streets. I didn't look at myself and think I was fat, but I didn't register my smallness either. I really saw myself as quite average. I used to be afraid of being strong. I didn't want to take care of myself. I didn't want to get big. I wanted to have a parent or a teacher, a savior. I wanted to be taken care of. I wanted to stay small and childlike. I stopped eating to freeze time. I was cheated out of a childhood. I found a way to buy myself more time. Just don't grow. So I stopped eating, I want to say it was the end of 10th grade, all of my junior year, and I think I kind of knocked it off beginning of my senior year. Went on for a while. This night she used the big pan. Enough to feed an entire kindergarten class. She spooned my brother a small dish and gave herself and my father a modest scoop. Everyone offered their compliments to her. I grumbled that it was decent. To myself, I thought, dear God, nothing has ever tasted better than this. After everything was washed and put away and my family had retired to the couch, I stayed in the kitchen next to the pan. I just wanted a little bit more, but after a few bites, I was ravenous with an insatiable hunger. So I ate, and I ate every last morsel. I felt like the food was going to bulge and explode out of my body and tear me open. It hurt so bad. I walked over to my mom, crying and holding my bloated stomach.
I ate the apple crisp.
You had another bowl?
No, I had all of it.
Oh. That's really good for you.
And the next day, I ate, I want to say, 6 peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and fluff sandwiches. And I thought I was going to hurl. this is what you're heading towards. This is what the result will be if you keep going. And up until that point, I was kind of like indifferent, like, I don't care what happens. It doesn't, whatever, I don't care. But that really changed it when I was like, a reality check. This is what'll happen to you. The day I went to court with my parents to make the new fathership official, I sat at a desk with the judge's podium towering over me. No one was consulting me during this process. There were no heart-to-hearts, no checking in with each other's emotions. It was the business of the day. A new name means a new person. But I was finally learning to define myself. How could I abandon my name? I saw my dad. I was supposed to see him every other weekend, but that didn't always happen because sometimes there were cooler parties going on than what we were going to do. So it wasn't every other weekend. And probably when I was like 11 or 12, it started becoming very infrequent. And then by the time I was like 14, 15, it was maybe a couple times a year. And the last time I saw him and spoke to him face to face was when I was 16. It's something that I think about a lot, and I wonder what went wrong, or I wonder what's wrong with him. My head started bobbing and I swooned in and out of sleep. I was startled awake by a big sigh from my father. He started yelling. I couldn't make out everything he said.
Get out of the car. Go wait for your mom. Go. Get out of the damn car.
But one phrase was clear and loud above all the rest.
Your mom and you
I
do this
can't
all the
believe
damn time.
you had to do this.
Like
This night is a disaster. You've completely ruined my life. I think about how much he hurt me, and I wonder how badly he must be hurting to be able to push that out onto somebody else, especially a daughter. I had just gotten my permit, so I drove, and he sat next to me. My mom remarried when I was in second grade. I mean, he was okay. He never once told me that he wanted to be my dad. It was an hour-long trip that I made every day from my house to the gym, through the country and down the highway. Jay isn't much of a talker, so the radio is always on. I was calmly mulling over the name situation, mostly noting that I was sick of the word name, when a U2 song leaked out of the speakers. I want to run. I turned it up. Tears soaked my face. I want to reach out and touch the flame where the streets have no name. As I tried to focus on the road, Jay said nothing. I didn't want to have to choose.
You ruined my life.
What's wrong?
You ruined everything. You ruined my life.
You had another bowl?
No, we ate all of it.
You ruined my life. Tanner, just have to
That's really good for you.
Get out of the car. Go wait for your mom. Go. You completely ruined my life.
No.
Excuse me, what was that?
No.
Oh, okay then. Here,
I needed to prove that I could survive.
here.
I couldn't give up on who I started out as. After hours of legal procedures, it was all official. Let the record show that Kayleen Hannah Wilkinson has been emancipated from Timothy James Wilkinson. James Darrell Scanlon has adopted Kayleen Hannah Wilkinson. Kayleen Hannah Wilkinson will remain Kayleen Hannah Wilkinson.
I just wasted 10 seconds of your